Hi everybody, it's Richard here again and welcome to another video. Now today marks the 5th anniversary of David Bowie's passing, David Bowie being my all-time favourite artist. I always dreaded the day that he was going to pass away, but I didn't expect it that day back in 2016. I remember being told about it. I was at the airport in Belfast. I was travelling over to Edinburgh for work, and the girlfriend at the time, she phoned me about 7:15 in the morning, and I thought it was a joke. I thought it was one of those hoax deaths, but she looked up the various news channels and it was all over the news. So, but awful day, but still he's left his music behind. I still can't understand how none of us knew, because he did look very ill, but that's a different story. So I thought today what I would do is the second part of my 20 favourite album tracks, so no better than to do David Bowie. So we'll start with, now this was really difficult, I have to say, because I could pick about 15 of them out and put a different 15 in. This is what my 20 favourite are on this day, so as I say, it could change tomorrow. So number 20, we'll race through this, I don't want to make it too long a video. And at number 20 from the Ziggy Stardust album, I'm going to give it to Moonage Daydream, which is a fantastic rock song with brilliant guitar by Mick Ronson. The live version he does on Ziggy the Motion Picture is amazing. If you watch the video you'll see I think he's brilliant. So number 20, Moonage Daydream. At number 19, and I'm going to go with the first track off Scary Monsters, and it's No Game Part 1. Now this is really weird, and I think this would have worked really well as a single. He's almost shouting his way through this. It's such a different track, and there's a Japanese voice, girl's voice throughout this, which is really good. And incidentally, the girl that supplies the Japanese vocals is one of these two. Now this is Sparks Came On To My House album from '74, and I'm not too sure which girl it is, but one of those girls is the girl that actually lends her vocals to that track. At number 18, and I'm going to give it to the final track off Aladdin, and it's Lady Grinning Soul. Now this is a gorgeous song. The piano is gorgeous, the strings are gorgeous, it's just gorgeous. And I really enjoyed on the Runaways film, the girl, what was her name, was it Kirsten Stewart, who was acting Joan Jett, and they showed her doing like a dance routine to this, and everyone was laughing, and I thought it was brilliant. So Lady Grinning Soul gets number 18. Number 17, and it's the beautiful ballad from Young Americans, and it's the second song called Win. Really good vocals, beautiful song, and it's blue-eyed soul, but it's done perfectly. At number 16, and we have from the Space Oddity album, or the David Bowie album, and it's the second track, Unwashed and Somewhat Slightly Dazed. And I think this was planned to be a single in some territories, but it never happened. It's about 5 minutes long, there's harmonica and everything in it. It's a really good sort of Bob Dylan-esque rock song, but excellent, and this album is excellent. Well, they're all excellent. At number 15, and we go back to Aladdin again, and this time it's the title track, and the piano by Mike Garson on this is completely looped. He's completely bonkers, and it's like a jazz type piano, but on first listen it's hard to actually take in, but I absolutely love it, and it's the piano that really does make this album. I always said Aladdin they say it's Ziggy Goes to America. I call it Ziggy Goes to America and picks up Mike Garson. So that's number 15. At number 14, and from 2013, and from the Next Day album, it's You Feel So Lonely You Could Die. This is a wee bit like taking Rock and Roll Suicide, driving in Saturday, and 5 years, throwing them up in the air and see what comes down. And it's a really brilliant song. It does have the same drum pattern at the end as 5 years, and there is a bit of a sort of a 50s influence like the Drive-In Saturday as well, but I think it's one of the best tracks off this album. If we take away the singles, it is the best track. So number 13, and from 2002, and it's from the Heathen album, and it's A Better Future. This sticks out a little bit like a sore thumb in this album. It's very poppy, it's very catchy, it's very hypnotic, and it would have been a perfect single. It really would have. It's a little bit the way Ashes to Ashes stands out like a sore thumb on Scary Monsters. I don't understand why this wasn't a single. I think it would have done really well. It would have brought them into the top 20 anyway. At number 12, and from Hunky Dory, we have Quicksand, which is the gorgeous song that closes side 1. The chorus of this is delicious. The acoustic guitar is great, the piano's great. It's just a really good singer-songwritery type song from his singer-songwritery type album. So Quicksand gets my number 12. At number 11, and it's Never Get Old from Reality. Now this was going to be a single, I think, in Japan. I think it was a single in Japan, and there was a video made for this, so they were obviously thinking about it. But they released the dreadful Rebel Never Gets Old, which is part of this mash with Rebel Rebel. But this is an absolute classic Bowie track, and it's the best song off the album. Okay, getting into the top 10, and at number 10 I'm going to give it to the song Right, which was the B-side of Fame. I think this is better than Fame. The vocal exchange between Bowie and the backing singers is immense, and you can see it on YouTube as well, them practicing. Absolutely brilliant song, and so it gets my number 10. Number 9, and we go back to Aladdin Sane again. Notice the way I'm picking from this side and putting down this side. I have multiple copies of albums. This is actually a non-gatefold version of Aladdin Sane, my original that I bought in 1980 actually. Anyway, the song I give it to is Time, which opens up side 2. It has got like almost like a vaudeville type piano on it. Again, Mike Carson steals the show, but this builds and builds and builds, and it's an absolutely brilliant song. I'm at number 8, and from Scary Monsters, and this is actually a Portuguese copy with green at the back, and it's on the orange RCA label, which is why I bought it. Very, very cheap. Awful copy, awful sound quality. But anyway, number 8, it's Teenage Wildlife, and his vocals are immense in this. It's a Heroes type song. It's got that Heroes feel to it, but his vocals just go all over the place. I think it's a real stellar performance, a real excellent song. At number 7, and from Ziggy Stardust, and it's the second song, Soul Love, the one that nobody really talks about. I think this is, apart from Starman, my favourite song off this album, and I think would have made a brilliant follow up to it. Really good pop song, really catchy, and it's so easy to sing along to. So it gets number 7. Number 6, and it's a little bit of a cheat because it's 2 songs. We have to have the 2, and it's from Diamond Dogs, and it's Big Brother going into and including Chant of the Ever Circling Skeletal Family. Yeah, this is amazing. There's a little acoustic bit in the middle which I just absolutely love. The chorus is great, the verses are great, and the chant itself is so hypnotic. It's just, I've never heard anything like it before, and a brilliant way to close the album. So it gets my number 6. And number 5 wasn't released at the time, and I'm showing the Gouster here, and the song It's Going to Be Me, and it was originally planned to be on Young Americans, but he met up with John Lennon, and so it was dropped for Fame or Across the Universe. But It's Going to Be Me is about 6.5 minutes of sheer Bowie brilliance. Again, I've never heard him sound so good, such a soulful voice, such a brilliant song. And number 4, and the title track from Station to Station, and just slightly over 10 minutes of genius. The way that it starts off, the train leaving the station, and it builds and it builds and it builds. It gets quicker and quicker and quicker, and it's an amazing song. So Station to Station, title track, is my number 4. At number 3, I'm going to go back to the Space Oddity album again, and it's the final track on side 1, and it's the immense Signet Committee, which is about 8.5 to 9 minutes long. Absolutely wonderful song. It is his most Bob Dylan wordy song, but again it builds. And a story, whenever I bought this way back in the early 80s, and my brother was living with us, and he heard this coming from my bedroom. He actually came down to ask what it was. He couldn't believe how good it was, and it was Signet Committee. So number 2, and I'm not cheating here, and it's the title track of The Man Who Sold the World. Now this was not a single, although in the 1990s a completely different version of this did become a double A side with Strangers When We Meet, but they're two completely different songs. This is absolutely brilliant. It was the B-side of Life on Mars as well. I love it, absolutely love it. It should have been a single. It was a big hit for Lulu, and of course Nirvana covered it, and so did Mid-Sure. Absolutely brilliant song. So The Man Who Sold the World gets my number 2. And my favourite Bowie track, and again it's a bit of a cheat, and it's from Diamond Dogs, and it's the Sweet Thing medley. Sweet Thing Candidate, Sweet Thing Reprise. Again, his vocals are amazing on it. I don't know how to describe this song. It's almost like him in a club at 2 o'clock in the morning crooning away, and it's just amazing. And the live version from David Live is amazing as well, and it's one of the best recordings ever put on tape or vinyl or CD or whatever format you want. So Sweet Thing Candidate, Sweet Thing Reprise, my number 1 Bowie track. Okay, so those are my 20 favourite Bowie LP tracks. Again, 5 years since he passed. It's still actually quite hard to believe, because you know I've been a big Bowie fan from 1980. So how many years is that? 36 years being a fan, and then he passes. So it's difficult to take, but you have to. Life goes on. Okay, that's me for now, and I hope to have another video quite soon. All the best now. Bye bye.